Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ranking Member Leger Fernandez, for the opportunity to participate in today's hearing and to speak in support of an important piece of legislation that you both described quite well, H.R. 1722 that I introduced earlier this year. The bill to amend the Grand Ronde Reservation Act is a bill that will restore the ability for the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde in Oregon to raise land claims, rectifying a restriction that was included in a land agreement over what is known as the Thompson Strip. The Grand Ronde's problem that brings me here today is imbued with the troubling past of how tribes have been treated by our government, which makes me all the prouder to be able to say that the bill has the support of the entire Oregon delegation. The Grand Ronde Reservation was established in 1857, and in an 1871 survey of the reservation, an 84-acre piece of land known as the Thompson Strip after the land surveyor was mistakenly excluded due to a surveying error. And like all other tribes in Oregon, the Grand Ronde was terminated in 1954, and subsequently they were restored in 1983. In 1988, Congress passed the Grand Ronde Reservation Act, and later that same year, BLM discovered the land surveying mistake on the eastern boundary of the tribe's original reservation. BLM arranged a land exchange with Grand Ronde in which the tribe would receive 240 acres of land contiguous to the present Grand Ronde Reservation in exchange for relinquishing their claim to the Thompson Strip. The 240 acres was also agreed to as compensation for lost compensation the tribe did not receive for timber harvesting, since BLM had treated the Thompson Strip as Oregon and California railroad grant lands. While Grand Ronde received a greater number of acres than what comprises the Thompson Strip, the tribe and BLM agreed that they were roughly equal in terms of compensation and value, including the value of timber production. The agreement required congressional action and was included in the 1994 Native American Technical Corrections Bill. At some point in the process, language was erroneously inserted that extinguished Grand Ronde's right to bring any further land claims in the entire state of Oregon and not just around the Thompson Strip. No other tribe in Oregon is subject to this prohibition, and to the best of my knowledge, no other tribe has unknowingly been subject to such a restriction without actual involvement in the negotiation. Today, the statute is much broader than what was intended, and this long overdue bill will rectify this error. And while there's limited documentation surrounding the legislative discussions in 1994, the tribe's congressman at the time was Representative Mike Kopetsky, whose written testimony before this same subcommittee confirms the tribe's understanding of the intent of this agreement. His testimony only mentions relinquishment of claims to the Thompson Strip and nothing more. To correct this minor but very consequential mistake, the bill before you today strikes the state of Oregon in text that states that the claims are extinguished for all claims to lands within the state of Oregon and replaces it with the Thompson Strip. The bill is carefully written technical fix, and I appreciate the chairwoman and the chairman of this committee and for working with us to really find a path forward. We have further strengthened the bill language since last Congress to prevent the use of any land or financial compensation potentially obtained in a future agreement from being utilized for additional gaming. So regardless of how we got here today, this amendment to the Grand Ronde Reservation Act is pretty straightforward. The subcommittee has held a hearing on this bill for the last two Congresses, and it passed in the Senate last Congress. And with the bipartisan, bicameral support of the entire Oregon delegation, I look forward to moving this legislation forward and to finally correcting this unjust error. Thank you so much, and I yield back.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes Mr. Johnson for 5 minutes for a statement.